Good evening.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's Councillor Thompson here. I hope that you can hear me okay. I'm assuming that folks can actually hear me.
Hello, Council. We can hear you.
Good evening.
Fantastic.
Good
Thank
evening.
you. We'll be starting in about 1 minute.
So, Councillor?
Yes.
Yeah, hi, it's Ron speaking.
Yes, hi.
We've got a lot of people that wanted to be on this call. Some of them don't have internet and that, and they were just wondering if you had it recorded, they could take it over to their neighbors to share it with them.
Absolutely. We can get that
Okay.
to folks who want that. Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Great. Thank you.
No problem. All right. So good evening, everyone. It's 6:30. And there are a number of people that's actually on the call. I suspect that there'll be more coming on in a minute or so. Just give it another 30 seconds or so. And I'm just looking for a couple of names that I'm aware. Okay, I'm seeing them now that we're interested in coming on. All right. I wanted to thank everybody for being able to join us this evening for this meeting. The reason why I've called this meeting is that a number of residents had actually reached out to me and wanted to have an opportunity to talk with me about a concern regarding the proposed stop at Mooregate and Tara Avenue. And the reason why they wanted to talk to me is that they had raised their concerns with respect to the TTC regarding the fact that some residents do not want a stop at this particular location. The board at the TTC had made this decision to put a stop in place. My understanding is that part of the rationale, beyond simply creating opportunity for residents to have easy access through the bus right away, is that with respect to the Gatineau Trail that is going from east to west, it will also provide an access to, I think some folks have got their mics not muted. If you could mute your mic, please, that'd be very helpful. There's some distraction coming through. Thank you very much. And so my understanding is that the TTC board, when they moved the motion to put a stop at this location, the thinking is and was that there'll be people who will be interested in also visiting the area and visiting the Gatineau Trail, and this is a stop that provides easy access. Nonetheless, there had been a number of issues and questions posed to the TTC. The TTC responded. We do have with us Gary Pappas, who is with the TTC, is a senior manager of project development. Also, we have Arjun Sihota, who's with us. And I know, Arjun, you're going to be with us for a short period of time. And so what I wanted to do is to actually turn the conversation over to Gary and perhaps Arjun to make any comments that they wish. We will then, after that, we will just open the floor up and people could ask questions. Now, reminding you that this meeting is actually being recorded, reminding you as well that the code of conduct for the City of Toronto in terms of how meetings are governed and the civility of meetings are in effect. That is no offensive language, no racial comments that are disparaging or other comments that would be uncivilized, quite frankly. And I know that this is not that audience that will be conducting themselves in that particular fashion. And so that being the case, and recognizing that the TTC had responded to the residents, some residents sent me a petition, which I have, consisting of several names, about 137, I believe. And there'd probably be more, but nonetheless, those were the people who signed the petition, in essence, opposing a stop at the location of Mooregate and Tara Avenue. There were numerous reasons and rationale for them, and I know the TTC responded with respect to the concerns that were raised, and the matter has been sent to me by residents and were concerned, and so wanted to have a conversation. And so the purpose of this meeting is to ensure that that conversation can take place, and for us to maybe look at some potential next step, if you will, in terms of dealing with this particular issue. So with that, I'm going to just stop for a moment and maybe just ask Gary, and I see you on the line here, Gary, maybe if you could just maybe respond. I know that there are some issues as it relates to the provincial importance of the stops and whether or not there are any changes can come about. Does that meet the criteria and so on? One is the Indigenous treaty rights and so on. And additionally, there is the environmental issues and so on. I don't know necessarily that any of these particular conditions are abridged. And so I'll leave it there and maybe just ask you, Gary, to just to comment. And then I don't know if Arjun wishes to say anything, but I'll leave it to you both. And then we'll open the floor up to just further questions and any comments. I will remind everyone that this meeting is slated for 1 hour, so we will be ending the meeting at 7:30 p.m. So Gary, over to you, and thank you very much for joining us this evening. I think
Gary, you might be muted over there.
Gary, I think you're muted. Still can't hear you, Gary. Can you hear us? Give us the thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay. So we're just having some challenges hearing you. Give you a moment to reset, Gary. Okay. Let's take a moment to reset. So technology sometimes doesn't always work as we like them to, but it does come around. So give Gary a moment to reset and see if he can get his audio working.
It's Jan. Is everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
You certainly can.
Thank you.
While we wait for
Go
Gary
ahead.
to come back,
Can you hear me?
Thompson.
Yeah, we can hear you. Sorry,
Oh,
Arjun.
fantastic. Gary's back. Gary's back.
There we
Yeah,
go.
Hand
Gary's
it over to
back.
him.
Yeah, go ahead, please, Gary.
You can hear me?
Perfectly.
Wonderful. Okay. Thanks again, Councillor Thompson, for facilitating tonight's event and for all the residents joining. So just quickly, I do want to note that there are others from the TTC on the call. So you have myself, you have Arjun, and then we have Jihad Hassan, who is the project manager for the construction delivery. And we also have Merlin, who is our environmental lead, who is supporting us throughout the transit and rail project assessment process. So yes, we did receive Mary's letter. Thank you for sharing it with us, along with all the signatures. 137 at the time of submission. So that's certainly a large amount of residents who have concern. In terms of what was submitted, when it comes to air quality and noise and vibration, and I think you noted noise as being a concern, those are typically triggers for the ministry to have some concern over. However, when we submitted our reports to the ministry, there are several subject matter experts in disciplines in which they review our assessments. So one of the two of the many assessments that we submitted, one being noise and vibration and another being air quality, they were submitted and approved by the ministry, specifically as it relates to the Mooregate and Terra communities. No sensitive receptors were triggered as part of our noise evaluation, and likewise with the plume associated with air quality, there were no concerns or mitigation required. So again, those go through, we have a consultant who prepares those reports. They are submitted to the ministry, and their subject matter experts would review those reports. And if there's any flags that are raised, they would then request that we undertake mitigation measures. So you know, in theory, if you have buses passing through the corridor, there might be some ambient noise disruption, but you know, there's a certain threshold that needs to be met in order to apply mitigation. So in this case, mitigation was not recommended through the corridor that passes both Moorgate and Terra. There were some other concerns that you raised that, again, do not relate to provincial importance, but they do relate to day-to-day community living. So having people illegally park on streets, given the fact that there's going to be no commuter parking, at least in early days of the Line 3 busway. But we are happy to note that there will be commuter parking lots reopening both at Lawrence and Ellesmere to kind of offset that commuter parking loss. However, if there are you know, customers who decide to park along Terra Moorgate to avoid having to pay at a commuter lot, and they're parking on streets, we can mitigate that through parking prohibitions with the city. If there is an uptick in passenger pickup and drop-off activities along Mooregate and Terra, and that starts to create safety issues for vulnerable road users, then there are traffic calming measures such as speed humps or other measures that can be put in place to ensure the safety of the residents within the community. I think there was a question about transient foot traffic. I really think, you know, our goal and objective with this stop was to give something back to the local community. I don't envision many people living outside of the walkshed of the Terra Moorgate community to be walking to this facility. I think it's more so for the community, and then it's also for you know, people who want to take advantage of the Gatineau Hydro corridor and the trails that come with it and the parks, etc. So we don't necessarily envision that there's going to be transient foot traffic and people, you know, hanging about at the stop location. If there was that type of behavior, such as homelessness, using the shelters to seek refuge, we would take care of that. Obviously, we would hear about it very quickly through our operators who are serving the stops. And you know, we've had some of those types of instances occur, specifically at our access hubs, but not necessarily at many of the shelters. So we can, again, we would be happy to work with you to ensure that I think the word you used, Mary, was tranquility. So ensure that your tranquility is maintained, and you know, I can turn it over to the community to ask questions, and would be happy to respond to them.
Thanks very much for that, Gary. And just before we get to the community and questions, I will ask folks if you could actually do your raise hand. And I think I saw at least 1 or 2 calls that came in on the phone. If I'm not able to see, and I'm just going through here. Okay, there's only one. It's the 757-560 number at the moment. So if you could raise your hands in order to ask, Jan, go ahead, please. You've got a raised hand, so please go ahead.
Oh,
You're muted.
I'd like to defer to Ron at this time, please.
yeah.
Okay, then take your hand down then, please, if you're not, okay. Will you come back later or something?
Yeah.
If you'll come back
Yes,
later,
I
keep your
will
hand up
speak.
then. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ron, please. Go ahead.
Sorry, Counselor, just to try to make this a little more streamlined than that, the community got together, they volunteered me to just start the speaking off. They've all got some things they want to say, and that will speed through, and then folks like Gary, you can come back.
Sure,
and
that's great.
do that,
That's good.
okay?
Thank
So,
you.
like you've seen a lot of the emails with the concerns and everything like that. That's the key thing. And we got to say that the Line 3 has been a discussion for many, many years now. And we're in support of the transition from the Midland and Kennedy roads, which are terrible right now, back onto the SRT. But there's lots of things that we want to talk about that goes on that they're going to speak in more detail on. Before I hand it over, though, just a couple of questions that I had before was, the city's facing a deficit, and we're looking at, budgetary things coming up for 2025. And this is going to cost about $1 million or so. We don't know the exact numbers. What's the ROI on this? So there's not a lot of people in this neighborhood. The Gatineau Park line is for cyclists, and they've got a bike path that goes right down from this point at Mooregate right down to Kennedy Station. So everyone's got a chance to get on the bike. They can take the Kennedy bus and the Midland bus. So what's the ROI going to be on this?
So I,
Gary?
so we don't have anyone from finance on this, and we can confirm whether or not a business case was undertaken. But you have to understand that once the Line 3 derailed, we had to move fast because we need to ensure that residents of Scarborough have a fast and efficient transit connection between Scarborough and Line 2. So here is a very unique opportunity to take advantage of existing infrastructure and provide that efficient connection. So, I don't know if we can get into dollars and cents here, but from a customer experience perspective, we are shaving off minutes from people's travel time. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're the person that's sitting in that seat after long days of work, the sooner you get home to your family, all the better. So that's kind of how we see things.
Okay, so you don't have the ROI on it. But the thing too is this, you said it's about people getting home. The SRT was designed as an express line from Scarborough Town Center down. So this came back 40 years ago where they said just have Lawrence and that where you had more buses coming in and just go through that. So for 300 yards away from the station, the value there for the people that have been walking there already today are used to that. That's fine. So I think we're doing a nice thing sort of thing as opposed to do we need to have it? And we're looking at this as a fiscal thing as well. Is like if it's not necessary, then why do it? And met the people. We're not talking just about our neighborhood. We're talking about the people farther north of here that are coming from Malvern who have to take 2 or 3 buses to get this town center. That's where we're coming from as well. So the ROI is going to be, oh, now we're going to stop for a person that might want to come down to Kennedy Station 300 yards away. People might not be too happy about that either. So that's one of the questions. The other one,
Okay.
yep. Go ahead.
If you don't mind, so you're right. I mean, Terra Moorgate is a stone's throw from Kennedy, but it's also the reverse direction. So people that may live in the Terra Moorgate vicinity who are trying to get to Scarborough Center, to get to Lawrence, that's a bit of a hike. It's not 100 meters. It's in the realm of 800 plus meters. So this again is about benefiting the community to have quick and efficient access.
This is supposed to be a short-term fix, which we all agree on till the subway's built. And when the subway's built, they'll want to take the subway that goes right up to the Scarborough Town Center. So
No doubt.
you're going to build something that's going to last for 4 or 5 years or so. So again, we're trying to be fiscal on this and common sense, if we can use that term, to say, look, we've done with it for 40 years. And you know what? Just let the people get their bus and get up to where they have to go because they're the transit riders 100%. And I think that's for a Band-Aid, it's not the best, but that's just my opinion on it. And I know there's lots of other people that want to speak as well. So what I'll do is I'll hand this over. Oh, who came up with this idea of a bus stop there? Because it never been talked about before.
Sorry. So Ron, thank you very much for that. Let me do 2 things. I will tell you, I asked that question as well. I understand that was a motion that was moved at the TTC board meeting by a board member, one of the commissioner members. But what I wanted to say to you, Ron, you made a comment a moment ago about the busway. You indicated that it's a short-term solution. It is my view in the conversation I've had with city staff and TTC that this is going to be a system of transit that's going to be in more for a lot longer than 4 years. So I just wanted to state that to you, that it is not
Okay.
something that we're going to spend $100 million on and cancel it in 4 years, because there's a huge area of the corridor that needs to be serviced. This discussion has been going on for some time, even with respect to the advancement of the expansion of the Bloor Danforth line to Shepherd and McCown. So I just wanted to say that. So now we'll open it up
Okay,
to
so
anyone
I'm gonna
else who may
pass it
have
on
any
to,
comments.
I'm gonna pass it on to, Jan right now. Thank you. And we've got a few more people to just speak in that.
That's okay, Ron. I'm actually chairing the meeting, if you don't mind. So I'll ask people to put their hands up. Okay, so I'll chair the meeting. Thanks.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
thanks a
please, Jan.
lot. Thanks a lot.
Okay, good evening, everybody, and thank you for caring about our subdivision. My first comment would be, it's already been spoken about, the Scarborough Rapid Transit. Rapid Transit was designed back in the, I guess, late 70s, 80s. It came into service. This originally was, there was talk of a stop at Mooregate Terra, and it was kiboshed. And like we say, it's a rapid transit. So having buses stop for the, in my opinion, few people that would be using this stop is turning it from a rapid transit where people are sitting on that bus, and now that 1 minute of somebody being faster getting home because they've been at work all day and they can get home to their family, that bus stopping, one bus to pick up one person, and then having 3 and 4 or 5 buses behind them backing up because they can't get home on this rapid transit system. My next comment would be, I took Google Maps, and in my opinion, I did a satellite view and I took a rough count of houses of who this would service, because we have bus routes on Kennedy and on Midland that are being used now. And I don't mean the busways or the bus lanes. I mean regular transit. I don't know, I think it's 57 Midland and 43 Kennedy. Those buses. So what I estimate is this is going to utilize, it's going to service approximately just under between 150 and 200 homes is my estimate of what it's going to service. Because on the east side of Terra, or on the east side of the tracks, you've got the whole northern subdivision that has no access into the Terra area. That's going to be serviced by Midland itself. The Midland Terra, if you split that subdivision into thirds or into quarters, half those, like let's say almost half that subdivision is closer to Midland. So they're not going to walk towards Terra to get on a bus that's already going to service them on Midland. And anybody south of Lord Roberts Woods, in my opinion, isn't going to walk through the woods that's not illuminated, not safe. There's no protection for whatever, that no illumination, no proper pathways to service. So they're going to service off of Midland. And then if we go to the other side of the tracks on the west side, the Mooregate side, the same thing. You're servicing from Trevorton north, and same thing again, you can sort of go to half that subdivision. So at a rough guess, I'm looking at about 150 to 200 homes that are going to be serviced by this. So the other thing I have is there'll be no construction access on the east side of the track. So all the construction access to this project is going to be on Mooregate. So people at Terra that might want this, but we're going to have to deal with people are going to say the short-term pain for the long-term gain, but there's, in my opinion, no long-term gain in a stop being added at Mooregate. The construction of concrete, sidewalks, pedestrian illumination, traffic control signals, or crosswalk, whatever it's going to be, to allow for safe crossing of the busway to be installed. For the northbound approach, like the cost of all that is, I'm in construction, I know there's a large cost to that. We don't have to talk about, this is more comments of, in my opinion, but voicing for my constituents that I live and share my subdivision with. I do have a question that really needs to be thought about seriously. And are the streets of Stratton, Mooregate, and Trevorton capable of handling all the trucking traffic of large excavation equipment and hauling of gravel and construction materials, concrete trucks and everything like that, are those streets suitable for this type of access for this construction? And what about the safety and noise of the residents having, I don't want to be sitting out in front of my house on my holidays and listening to triaxles hauling gravel in and out of my subdivision all day.
So could we respond to that one quickly? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I did mention Jihad is our project manager of construction. So perhaps he can respond to where those trucks will be coming, whether they'll be using the local roads or providing or using the corridor, the Line 3 corridor to access the site and install those sidewalk connections. So Jihad, would you be able to speak to that one?
Yeah, yeah, these will not be coming through the subdivisions. They will be coming along the corridor.
Perfect. Okay.
So they're going to be utilizing the Hydro One corridor?
No, the right of way, the SRT.
The Line
corridor.
3, right? So yeah, and so
how are you going to build sidewalks? Because my next comment is there's probably about a 40-foot grade separation between the elevation of Mooregate Avenue and the track level. So how is that grade separation going to be done and not having construction vehicles on Mooregate?
No, that's yeah. We're building a sidewalk there, and most
Can't
of the
build a
activity.
sidewalk. That's a tobogganing hill. We toboggan there. Our kids toboggan there.
I understand, Jan. But let me finish, please. So it's a sidewalk. This is not considered major construction, and the length and the slope is addressed with the length to address the slope to maintain a reasonable or gentle slope. So that's why it winds around a little bit. And you mentioned lighting earlier. We are installing lighting along the path as well. So that's to answer another question.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's a large cost to bring in illumination as well. And then
that cost is not much considering the overall project. That's nominal, let's say. Yeah.
Sorry, Jan, just before you move ahead, I just wanted to I know there's a caller that's actually on the phone. So for that caller, if they wish to participate in the meeting, just dial 6, please, and it will unmute you so you can actually speak. Go ahead, please, Jan.
We already have on that footbridge, which is the access for the Terra residents, snow removal issues. It's one of the last things to ever be done in a snowfall, even though it is Mooregate's home school. And so those people, again, from Terra are going to have to use that footbridge that's got lack of winter maintenance, in my opinion. And you're saying that this is going to be a fully accessible sidewalk there?
We would have to construct it to be AODA, yes.
Okay. And why and how many trees are going to have to be cut down for this project?
We've identified in the environmental project report, 2 trees would be coming down, 1 private, 1 on the Line 3 like right of way. 2 total.
Okay, I'd just like to reiterate once again, it's a rapid transit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Mary, hi, Mary. Go ahead, please. You are muted there, Mary. Yeah, there you go. I think you're unmuted now. Go ahead, please, Mary. And thank you very much for your excellent work. Mary, unfortunately, we can't hear you. We do want to hear you. We can't hear you. You just... Looks like we can hear Manuel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Mary here. Councillor, you have received numerous emails with questions, concerns, and a signed petition from over 180 residents. It's been approximately 30 days since your constituents requested an in-person meeting with you. But at last, here we are today in Zoom. Actually, one of the persons who went with me to get signatures doesn't have email or Zoom. So a certain section of people were left out of this meeting.
So Mary, let me just respond back to that because you've raised this. If this was going to be an in-person meeting, we probably would be meeting in December.
Oh.
Okay, so let me be very clear. And in fact, what we have seen over the last while is that we've actually had more people on Zoom than we actually do in person. Who knows, maybe for this meeting we would have had, but we also are facing a postal strike when we looked at the opportunity with respect to hosting the meeting, because we have to get dates that actually works for everyone. We also have to get the location that actually works for everyone. So as you say, this petition, and I did not receive this petition 30 days ago. In fact, I first saw the petition that came from the TTC. I spoke with you some time ago and you were going to send it to my office. It had not arrived.
Yes.
So let me just be very clear on that. But please, we do want to hear from you because this isn't a situation or Zoom meeting. We want to have the meeting so we can decide on the next step. So please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so there's been mail sent out, but not everyone received it. And your newsletter did not mention anything about a stop at Terra Mooregate Avenues. The TTC construction notice dated September 9, 2024, surprised and dismayed us all, hence the petition. I had to go to the TTC website to check about the information session they held last September, as we had not received the notice about the date or venue. Thank you.
Thanks very
Councillor, if I
much,
could
Mary.
respond to
Thank
that.
you very much.
Would it be possible just to note that we have undertaken significant consultation over the last 4 years where we shared the design at various progressions. This should not come as a surprise to anyone in the community that this stop has been on the docket for multiple years. I just think it's important to note that.
Gary, if I could just add, one of the things I know Councillor Thompson's office has been tremendous at is providing a monthly TTC update. I know Keisha works with me in Councillor Thompson's office, and we provide monthly updates to his office. And as a member of the mailing list, I know they're in there, Councillor Thompson. And I know the last session similar to this one that we had was on May 8th of 2023, where we showed a conceptual design of the busway design, and there was about 78 or 80 people in attendance at that session. So just echoing Gary's comments, this project certainly shouldn't have been a surprise. It's been discussed at our board more than a handful of times. And then ultimately we're executing board direction at this phase.
Right, thank you very much for that. So I think what I'm hearing, and I've heard, obviously I was at the last community meeting where a number of residents raised the concerns that are being raised here today. So I think what we need to figure out now, recognizing that there is a desire not to have a stop at this particular location, the question is, what are the next steps? What are the opportunities in terms of ensuring that the decision makers will primarily the TTC commission, and I guess at going to council, will have an opportunity to hear what the residents' concerns are. And the ask would be, based on the residents' concern, is that there is a, to eliminate the stop that has been proposed for this particular location. So that, I think, is perhaps the sort of conversation that we should be looking forward. We've heard the concerns, we've heard about the sidewalks, we've heard about the monetary investment into the community that the city should be looking at saving funds and so on. We've also heard that it's not necessary. We've heard the issue around intrusion into the community and so on. And I'm happy to take this matter forward in terms of the direction that it needs to go in order to ensure the residents' concerns are heard. And so the direction to stop this decision by the commission and of the TTC, which I understood that the support was unanimous by the board itself. There are 9, I believe there are 9 members on the commission. I'm not a member of the commission. Would be then to do a member's motion on behalf of the community to council to ensure that council could then make the decision. Whether or not council will support such a motion, I don't know, but council is always supreme in its decision. To formulate that member's motion, which would come from myself, I would incorporate the concerns that have been raised by members of the community, as well as submit the petition on behalf of members of the community, which basically says, we actually don't want this particular stop for the varying reasons that have been communicated. So that would be my approach, because that's basically the only options that we actually have. At the end of the day, would be to bring a motion to council, since the TTC and its board has already made its decision. I don't imagine that it's too late, because the project is just getting started, and the ability to stop it, the transit and rail project assessment process has been completed. We get that. So the ability to stop it would be through a member's motion or request on behalf of the community that a stop is not basically placed at Mooregate Avenue and Tara Avenue. So those are the thoughts that I have. I'm happy to hear from anyone else who may have a different approach or maybe offer additional suggestions. So I will stop talking at the moment and allow anyone else who wishes to talk. I'm looking at, is it Colin? I see you have your hands up. Yes, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself, please.
I wasn't scheduled in our little group to speak just now, but thank you for recognizing our situation, Councillor, and I really appreciate your last comments to us here. How would we then get, if we're not going to tonight, like we had 4 sections that we wanted to present to you, perhaps we don't need to, because I'm looking at the clock. How would we get our real argument to you?
So
other than just a bunch of emails you got, we don't want that to be there. We have like 5 sets of areas to look at, and we could maybe put a document together. Ron's been great at this. Is that possible?
That would be fine. I mean, I don't know what the 5 or 4 sets are, whatever you have. Like, I've been taking notes and so on here. I obviously have the petition. I also have the response that was sent to members of the community from the TTC. And of course, I've spoken with several members of the community and so on. So I'm happy to entertain and collect from you, Colin, or whoever else wants to submit any additional information. A member's motion is simply a request for council to act on the request that's being made. In this case, it would be to ask City Council to essentially to rescind and or to eliminate the proposed stop for Mooregate and Tara. It's a one-pager, quite frankly. So what we would do is we would precede the language in a way that allows for it to be framed from a perspective. Now, I want to be very, very clear to the community, because I'm always trying to make sure that I'm very clear. And, some people may be happy with my clarity, some people maybe not, but that's your prerogative. But I've always maintained that I actually work for the community. And in doing so, I think it's always appropriate for me to provide you with information, both in terms of information that is constructive and information that you can build on. But all information that I try to provide is done in a way that helps to build on the concern, whether it be something that's positive or whether or not it's something that's negative that we want to change. In this particular case, some people may view the installation of a stop at Mooregate and Tara as a good thing, and others do not. And so how do we respond? So I'm happy to get whatever additional information that you have, and I'm happy to introduce it to the next city council meeting. We have our next meeting is next Wednesday, the 13th. So a member's motion more than likely shouldn't come because it is not considered as urgent. However, I will do my best if I can get it on as an urgent matter. I will do my best. So if you could get to me the information as early as tomorrow, latest Monday, give me some time to draft a member's motion. I'll get you in a sec so that I can actually submit that. But I would submit the petition on behalf of the community that I have. If I have all, I have one series that is here that was forwarded off that has about 165. My understanding now, based on tonight's meeting, that those numbers are much higher. So if I get that, I would submit that on behalf of the community, asking council to not implement a stop at this location. Colin, back to you. I thought you had your hand up. Go ahead,
I
please.
was just in to expedite things here. Maybe Ron, I'm going to throw back to Ron because Ron's been spearheading a lot of the work as well as Mary, thanks to these two guys. But maybe Ron, you might want to tell us whether it's worth it for me to even do the presentation. Otherwise, Councillor, it really is a very short thing that we all pitched in on, and Ron was the secretary for. Thanks, Ron. And we could just email that to you. I'm going to throw it to you now, though, Ron. You talk and take the floor.
Yeah, thanks, Counselor. That's really what I was thinking of the end game would be. That's the only opportunities we have, and definitely we could put something together. We've never really done any of this kind of stuff, but if there's a form letter that we need to fill out,
No. Sorry, Ron, can I just interject there for a sec? You don't compose the member's motion. I do. Just whatever information you want to add to what you've already sent, I would just incorporate that. So you don't have to do anything other than send me what you have.
Perfect. So we can send you the bullets that we've got in each one of those topics. Okay, easy peasy then.
Fantastic.
And if you have any questions, you don't hesitate to ask, but that's great.
Absolutely. Jan, I see your hand up again. Was that the first hand that was up for a while, or did you have something else?
No, I just, a quick question.
Sure.
Is that, for this city council meeting, is it open to all the public to go to that meeting?
All city council meetings are open to the public. And you can watch it on YouTube after the fact. You can watch it on YouTube as well. Yeah. However, I couldn't get, first of all, I can't guarantee you that it's going to make this council meeting. I will do my best to see if I can get it on. At the same time, members' motions are dealt with typically the second day of council. And the way they're dealt with is that the speaker will go through a run through of them. Members can say they agree, which is to essentially to consent to it, or members will hold it. I suspect that this motion will be held because we have obviously members of council who are members of the commission. So those members who are part of the commission that supported the stop at Terra would want to maybe hold it to ask questions and so on, and we can have conversation. The challenge that we have is that if the matter is not consent by council, it would more likely be sent back to the TTC because they're the ones who have jurisdiction on it for further consideration. At that opportunity, if it were sent back, members of the community could go to the commission and actually speak to the commission to voice their concerns. You could do it. I think the TTC still has a hybrid opportunity in terms of its meetings where you could actually do it from home or from your place of business, because otherwise you'd be staying there for a long period of time. And I don't think that you'd probably want that. But in any event, what I would do, I would have informed the community as to where we are, whether or not the motion is going to go at this, at next week's council meeting or at the next one, which would be just in the December meeting.
Okay, and then I just one quick question for the, I guess
Sure.
it's for the TTC. Whereabouts are we on the design of the Mooregate Terrace stop? Are we at 100% or less than or half? Thank you.
So
Jad, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're at 100% design. Jad,
not
or
quite.
not quite? Okay,
We're more like 90.
90.
We're not at 100 yet.
So Counselor, just
Yes.
a couple
Thank you.
ideas there, couple ideas you had. So Scarborough Council meets next December 8th, I think it is.
It's not Scarborough Council, Ron.
Okay.
It's so Scarborough's Community Council. Community Council does not handle this matter. It's the large council that handles this type of matter.
Okay. But where I'm going with this is that if we have 6 councillors in Scarborough that we pitch to, they get to vote. Yeah.
Yeah. You can pitch
So-
to, in fact, you can pitch to everybody, every council,
Yeah,
all
yeah, of
25
course.
plus the mayor. You can pitch to them, absolutely. You can have a standard form letter or a conversation and so on. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So
My point,
Yeah, go ahead.
so my point though was that, and just to be very clear to the community, because I think it's important for you to understand, part of what I understood was the rationale for asking for this stop at this location was, one, convenience for the community. Of course, there was no discussion direct per se when the motion was moved. 2, it's also to create an opportunity where for the Gatineau Trail, because the city is investing a lot into the Gatineau Trail, it's going to be that, that jewel in our sort of open and green space, access to that area from essentially just north of the station. Tara and Mooregate provides that access. So for people who want to come, you can access it as well from Pharmacy, Warden, and all those other places and beyond. But that is something, because I did ask as to what the rationale was, as to why this was done. And so those were some of the comments that were made to me.
Okay.
Okay.
And is there an opportunity to get to the TTC commission, I guess the TTC board when they're having their meeting?
Yeah, so what I was saying, I just want to make sure I reiterate. The way going forward now, because the TTC board the commissioner has already endorsed this, right?
Okay.
So they have taken an action. So the item essentially passed, right? So there's
Okay.
no longer this matter in front of the board that I'm aware of. Gary and anyone from the TTC can maybe tell me if there's anything coming back on this matter to the TTC, but I'm not aware of it, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. So the way, Ron, that we have to move forward now, it's a question of city council, which is the large council group that meets downtown, to make a decision as to whether or not they will ask the TTC to rescind or to remove that particular stop, because that's the question I'm going to ask based on the member's motion that I will put forward.
Okay.
Is that helpful, Ron?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome. All right, I'm looking at the board and I don't know whether or not there's any further questions or comments. We are scheduled to go till 7:30. It's 7:17 now. I don't know if there's anything that needed to be added or any further questions from anyone. And I'm looking at the board.
Oh,
Ron Cole, is it Cole or Coley?
Cole. Just like,
Okay, got
just like
it.
Councilor
I've
Mike.
seen some folks with the same pronunciation, but they say Coley. Go ahead, please, Ron.
Mike Cole, your other councilor, his name is Cole.
No, it's Coley, but he calls himself, Englishize it as Cole. Yes.
Just something quickly.
Maybe you can speak up a little bit for us, where I can hardly hear you.
I've
Just
been a
maybe turn your
resident-
volume up, I guess.
I've been a resident of the Treverton Park for over 40 years.
Yep.
And I put up with the LRT for 30 years, the noise, even before it was built. We had all kinds of issues that we had with them, which they fixed. But then I've lived with 30 years of noise. And I was actually happy when it derailed. I had the best summer this year in my backyard. No noise. That's one. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. That was just one, just a little thing I want to add. But since you've closed the TTC parking lot, I've noticed that Treverton Drive and Stratton have all kinds of cars parked all over, day and night, because they have no place to park. And then they can walk over to No Frills and walk over to the station there. And all the there's on my street there's dozens of illegal rooming houses and basement apartments, all illegal, that are parked on the street day and night. And parking enforcement call them almost every night. Very little happens. You know, that's one of the issues that's probably is one of the agenda that Ron will send to you, right? So, and again, now there's gonna be more volume of cars than is going on, right? And the pathway that was put in by the city 5 years ago, I believe it was, the pathway that runs behind Treverton Drive, was originally supposed to be running next to the LRT track, but they moved it over to, without any notice, moved it over directly behind the residents' yards. And now there's nothing but graffiti on our fences, people drinking and e-bikes, motorcycles, they're racing down that pathway. It's dangerous to walk out there. So those are just a couple of things that are gonna be coming up, so. That's all I really have to add.
Well, that's very helpful. We can respond to that in terms of having our staff address some of those. It's always helpful for folks on the call that if you have some of these issues or concern, if you reach out to my office, send us an email, that's very helpful. That's thank you very much for that, Ron. I think I see a hand from Anita. Go ahead, please. Unmute.
Hey, hello, good
Go ahead.
evening, sir. How are you?
Very well. Good evening. Thank you for being with us.
Okay, I just wanted to raise a point about safety because, like, about a couple of years ago, I can't go into elaborate details. My son, who was in grade 6, right at the corner when he got off at Stratton and Kennedy, literally he was mugged. So, having said that, when we have the stop at Mooregate and Trara, like, how safe it's going to be? I agree with Ron, like Jon, because saying that only few houses are going to be serviced by the stop, because we have one at Stratton and Kennedy, we have one at Treverton, and one right at the across like Midland. And I exactly don't know the stop, but I have used it. So having said that, like this happened 2 years ago, and like it was a very nerve-wracking experience for us. We had to call the cops and things like that. So safety is of more concern because like we see more and more people. A couple of days ago there was somebody wandering around in a backyard. So my question is, like, if you have the stop there, how safe it's going to be? Thank you.
Thanks so much for that. All right, I'm just looking to see whether or not there is any additional questions. Okay, I don't see any additional questions or any comments. So with that, I will await to hear from Ron. You have been
I got my hand,
deputized.
Michael, I had my hand up there, sorry.
Oh, I didn't know if it was
I had
from
my
you
hand up.
left
Yeah.
over. Okay,
No,
go ahead,
no, I
please.
took it down. Just
I
a
didn't see.
question, that's okay. Since we're at 90% on the drawings, is it possible for the TTC to email that at least part of the, like what it looks like or what it's gonna be like, or can they email us those drawings? Or is that an option or no?
I don't know. I'll let the TTC answer that, but I'd be hard pressed to see them sending you partial documentations and so on, unless it's a complete. But I'll let them speak for themselves. Gary, did you hear the question?
Well, we haven't, like we haven't even seen anything. Like,
so can we
what
give
it's
them a chance to
potentially gonna
answer the
look like,
question
or-
there, Ron?
Yeah,
Can we give them a chance to answer? Go ahead, please, Gary.
Yeah, I'll actually let Jihad respond to that. I don't know if there's any confidentiality issues. Jihad, can we share the section of Moorgate, the current design?
I mean, I don't know what the practice is with this. Typically, I would take this back and discuss it. Maybe we can do that, but yeah.
Okay.
We have to take this back.
All right, Jan,
And
you
then
still
one
have your
other-
hand up. You had an additional question or comment?
yeah, I have one other thing.
Go ahead, please.
I know that the TTC made comment that there's been years of consultations and everything else. Nobody at the TTC has knocked on my door when I was home to talk about this. I just want to make that clear. If it's
All
been
right,
going on,
okay.
been living there for 20+ years, nobody's knocked
Okay.
on my door. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. All right, Colin, back to you. I think you muted yourself again. You unmute and muted yourself. Go ahead, please. Unmute.
There we go.
There we
go.
go.
Sorry about that. I'm such a Luddite. I don't even know how to put those hands up. Anyway, it
That's
doesn't matter.
okay. You're
I
doing
just
well.
wanted to address Anita's concerns. Anita, what we decided is we're going to, rather than do the whole safety presentation here, I do have time, Counselor, if you'd like to hear some of more concerns, but
Well, I think, sorry.
we went across a number of them.
So sorry, just with respect to this meeting, I would like to just contain it to this issue. I'm happy to entertain, happy to receive from you additional issues and concern regarding safety in the area. Happy to talk further on that.
Oh no, I mean safety in regard to this stop at Mooregate Terra, not safety in the neighborhood.
Okay, so you had some more
regard...
comments about safety?
Yeah, we do have some more, but what my point was is that I was saying earlier that it would be maybe better served for us to send it to you in printed form.
Right, I thought that's what we agreed upon.
Yes, exactly. But Anita's not understanding, perhaps. Anita, I just want you to understand. We're going to deal with safety and send it to the counselor in our 5-bullet point.
Sure.
You know, I can tell you what they are here, but we're at 724, Anita. That's why I chose not to do safety. But we're concerned also, Counselor, there's wildlife. It's a ravine back there. It's been a ravine on top of transit. Maybe there's no water running, but we treat it like a ravine, and that's where all the wildlife lives. And that's where the coyotes come in to prey on that wildlife. And there's a lot of other reasons. But again, we kind of hit them all tonight. So if Ron puts it all together and sends it to you,
fine.
I'm happy with that. And Anita, I think you'll be happy as well.
And if I
Okay.
if I can just say that,
Absolutely, I agree. I just wanted to mention safety because, like, we went through a nerve-wracking experience right at the corner of one stop, and this stop being isolated. So I just want to raise awareness about that. It's not about like safety for us. It's about people walking through that isolated corridor.
Okay, thank you very much.
and I just want to say, Al, this is a community thing that's been put together. So when I send this to Councillor Thompson, all the people that were emailed or whatever will get a copy of it too, so you know what's been said, and you can you can add if you want. But the other person that's not here too is Sandra, and you know Sandra Hayden, and she lives right on that intersection, right at the dead end there, and she can tell you a lot of stories. And I'm sure, Councillor, she's told you a few of them too.
She has. She
Yeah,
has
and for someone that lives there at the night, and she's terrified most of the time, so she's having some mental anguish, I'm going to say in my own words, with the stress of what's going on up there. And we can all say that it's being looked at, but looking at and taking care of it's another situation. So that's a big thing, cumulative. But I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Ron. Appreciate your engagement and so on. So thank you very much. I'm just looking at, I'm going to ask the TTC, Gary and team, is there any final comments that you wish to make?
Sorry, your question got convoluted.
I'm waiting for you to unmute you. There we go.
Yeah, sorry.
My apologies. I was just asking whether or not any additional comments that you wish to make before we close.
No, none at this time. We appreciate it. Yeah.
No, that's great.
Okay.
Well, look, I want to thank everyone for bringing forward your concerns. This has been very helpful, very fruitful. As I've indicated, I'm going to try, because that's all I can tell you at the moment. I can't guarantee that we will be successful. However, we will do everything possible to present to council, because it's a matter that while the TTC has carriage of it, the commission has already made its decision. The mayor and I worked in the last budget to ensure that the funding for the bus right away is actually in place. It's fully funded. By the way, the construction was supposed to, based on the I guess the old projection, to be completed in 2030. It is my understanding now, based on some of the things that we were able to do, that it will be finished much earlier than that. And I think 2027, but I'm hopeful it could be late 2026, but it will be at least 3 years earlier. And it is my hope that this will be not simply a short-term measure where we spend $100 million. We have a lot of development that is coming in the Scarborough Centre area, a combination of the subway expansion and also bus rapid transit that will be servicing the area from Kennedy Station to essentially the Scarborough town center area. There's a great section of the midpoint in the ward that needs to have better access to transit and so on. We will also alleviate the challenges that exist currently on Midland and on Kennedy Road. It is a challenge, but of course we've got to 20,000 people a day are traveling in this area, lots of buses that are in place. So we've had to make great efforts in order to create this level of efficiency. There's no doubt it has created some hardship. We recognize that. It is mostly the case in every decisions that we make in Swan. But I will do my best to put forward this opportunity for members of the community, and we will go from there. So with that, I'm going to close and thank everyone for participating in tonight's meeting. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening.
Everyone. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.